The transport vessel shuddered as it descended through the crimson atmosphere of Vulca Prime, and Marcus Webb gripped the safety rail with white knuckles. He had traveled across half the galaxy on a salvage contract, expecting another routine job, picking through derelict stations for scrap metal and outdated tech. What he had not expected was to save the life of an alien prince. It had happened 3 months ago in the debris field of the outer rim. Marcus had been welding a support beam when his sensors picked up a faint distress signal from what looked like a luxury yacht split in half by an asteroid collision. Most salvagers would have ignored it and stripped the wreckage for parts. Marcus was not most salvagers. He had suited up, crossed the void, and pulled an unconscious blue-skinned alien from a crumpled escape pod moments before its oxygen reserves depleted entirely. The alien had introduced himself as Prince Davron of the Vulcar Ascendancy, third in line to the Crystal Throne, and had insisted that Marcus accept a reward worthy of saving royal blood. Marcus had declined politely, saying that any decent person would have done the same. Davron had laughed at that and said humans were the only species in the known galaxy naive enough to believe such a thing. Now, Marcus stood in the grand hall of the royal palace, surrounded by architecture that seemed to defy physics. Crystalline pillars rose toward a ceiling that showed the stars themselves, not through windows, but through some technology that made the structure transparent to the cosmos. Hundreds of Vulcar citizens filled the space, their blue skin shimmering under the ethereal light, their dark eyes fixed on the human who had become an unexpected celebrity. Prince Davron stood beside the throne where his father, King Ulrich, sat in judgment and ceremony. The prince wore robes of silver thread that caught every photon and scattered it into rainbows. He smiled at Marcus with genuine warmth. "Humans have a reputation in the wider galaxy," Davron announced, his voice amplified by technology that Marcus could not see. "They are known as warriors, explorers, and survivors. But this human showed us something more valuable than strength. He showed us that humanity possesses honor without expectation of reward. For this reason, I have asked my father to bestow upon Marcus Webb the honors usually reserved only for Vulcar nobility." King Ulrich rose from his throne, a figure of imposing dignity despite his advanced age. His voice carried the weight of centuries of tradition. "Marcus Webb, you saved my son when you could have simply continued your work. You asked for nothing. You expected nothing. This is behavior we Vulcar recognize as the highest form of virtue. We cannot allow such virtue to go unrewarded." Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his salvage suit, which he had cleaned as best he could, but which still looked shabby compared to the finery surrounding him. "Your Majesty, I really don't need anything. Your son's friendship is reward enough." A murmur rippled through the crowd, a sound like wind through crystal chimes. King Ulrich smiled, an expression that transformed his stern features into something almost grandfatherly. "This modesty only proves Davron's judgment was correct. Nevertheless, we insist. First, we grant you a estate on Vulcar Prime, including mining rights to 3 asteroids in the Kelver Belt. The mineral wealth alone will sustain you and your descendants for 1,000 generations." Marcus blinked. He had seen the Kelver Belt on his approach. The asteroids there glittered with rare elements that powered faster than light drives. A single kilogram could buy a fleet of ships. 3 entire asteroids represented wealth beyond his capacity to calculate. "Your Majesty, that's too much." The king raised a hand, and Marcus fell silent. "Second, we grant you full citizenship in the Vulcar Ascendancy, with all rights and privileges. You may live here or anywhere in our territory. You may conduct business freely. You may call upon our protection wherever you travel." The crowd's murmuring grew louder, excited. Marcus caught words in their language, translated by his neural implant. They were impressed. Apparently, Citizenship was rarely granted to outsiders. Davron stepped forward, still smiling. And third, my friend, we come to a matter that may seem strange to you, but which is the highest honor our culture can bestow. He gestured, and two figures emerged from behind the throne. Marcus felt his breath catch in his throat. Two Velker women approached, moving with a grace that seemed almost choreographed. One had skin the color of a summer sky, with silver hair that flowed to her waist. Her eyes were like pools of liquid amber, intelligent and curious. The other had skin deeper blue, closer to cobalt, with hair like spun darkness and eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies. Both wore gowns that suggested wealth and status, and both watched Marcus with expressions he could not quite read. "These are my cousins," Davron said. "Lady Myra and Lady Kess. They are noble women of high birth and considerable accomplishment. Myra is a master of xenobiology and has published 17 papers on cross-species cultural exchange. Kess is an engineer who designs the shields that protect our vessels. Both are brilliant, accomplished, and beautiful by any standard." Marcus looked from one woman to the other, confused. "It's an honor to meet you both, but I don't understand." "They have agreed to become your wives," Davron said simply. The hall erupted into applause and cheering. Marcus stood frozen, his mind unable to process what he had just heard. He looked at the two women, who both smiled at him with what appeared to be genuine interest. He looked at Davron, who nodded encouragingly. He looked at King Ulrich, who watched with satisfaction. "Wait," Marcus said, and the hall quieted. "Wait, I can't just accept two people as a reward. That's not how humans do things. Marriage is about love and choice." And Lady Myra stepped forward, and her voice was melodious, each word carefully chosen. "We understand your confusion, Marcus Webb. In Velker culture, arranged marriages between nobles are common, but they are not forced. Both Kess and I have studied your file extensively. We have watched your actions in the debris field. We have spoken with your former employers and associates. We have come to admire your character, your competence, and your compassion. We volunteered for this arrangement." Lady Kess nodded, her darker features serious. "In our culture, it is considered an honor to marry a proven hero. You risked your life for someone you had never met, someone of an entirely different species, without hesitation and without thought of gain. This speaks to a quality of spirit that is rare in the galaxy. We wish to know you better. If, over time, genuine affection develops between us, then we will have a true marriage. If not, you are free to dissolve the arrangement with no dishonor to any party." Marcus looked between them, his mind racing. They were both stunningly beautiful, yes, but more than that, they were clearly intelligent and capable. Myra's eyes showed scientific curiosity, the same look he had seen in researchers who lived for discovery. Kess had the practical gaze of an engineer, someone who solved problems and built solutions. They were not ornamental prizes, but accomplished individuals who had chosen him for reasons he was only beginning to understand. "I don't know what to say," Marcus admitted. Davron clapped him on the shoulder. "Say yes, my friend. You saved my life. Allow me to change yours. Accept the wealth that will free you from the dangerous work of salvage. Accept the citizenship that will give you a place in galactic society. Accept the companionship of two remarkable women who see in you what I saw when you pulled me from that wreckage. Accept the chance to be happy." Marcus looked at Myra, who tilted her head slightly, waiting. He looked at Kess, who raised an eyebrow, challenging him to make a decision. He thought about his life before this moment, the endless days of solitary work in the void, the cramped quarters of his salvage ship, the constant danger and slim profits. He thought about the alternative being offered to him now: security, respect, partnership with two people who seemed genuinely interested in who he was. On one condition: Marcus said finally. The hall went quiet again. King Ulrich leaned forward slightly. Name it. I want to get to know Mira and Kess properly first. Not as wives, but as people. I want us to spend time together, to talk, to see if we actually like each other. If this is going to work, it needs to be built on friendship and respect, not just on gratitude and honor. Can we do that? Mira and Kess exchanged glances, and then both smiled. Myra spoke first. That is very human of you, and very wise. We agree to your terms. Kess added, we would have been disappointed if you had simply accepted without question. The fact that you want to know us as individuals, rather than symbols, suggests that Davrin's assessment of your character was entirely accurate. King Ulrich stood and spread his arms wide. Then it is settled. Marcus Webb, you are now a citizen of the Velker Ascendancy, a landowner of substantial means, and the betrothed of two of our finest noblewomen, with the understanding that your marriage will be built on mutual respect and genuine affection. The Ascendancy welcomes you, honors you, and offers you its friendship. The hall exploded with applause once more. Marcus felt Davrin embrace him, felt Mira take his right hand and Kess his left. He looked up at the transparent ceiling and the stars beyond, the same stars he had traveled between as a solitary salvager, and wondered at the strange path that had brought him here. As the ceremony concluded and the celebration began, Marcus found himself seated between Myra and